7-year-old Emma Bennett had been blind since birth, but if you met her in the small town of Willow Creek, Montana, you wouldn't have known it. While other children relied on their eyes to navigate the world, Emma moved through life with an extraordinary kind of confidence. You see, Emma didn't need sight. She had something much more profound, a connection to the world that no one could fully understand. She experienced the world in a way most people could never imagine, relying on sounds, smells, and textures to paint the picture of her surroundings. But what set her apart even more was her ability to tune into the emotions of others, human and animal alike. Some people called it a gift, others called it strange, but to Emma, it was just how she was meant to experience the world. Emma's parents, Sarah and John Bennett, knew early on that Emma's blindness wasn't a limitation. It wasn't something to be fixed or changed. It was just her way of experiencing the world, the extraordinary gift of being alive. They had come to accept that Emma had an innate understanding of emotions that was often far beyond her years. But even in a town as close-knit as Willow Creek, not everyone understood that. The town was facing a crisis, one that had people locking their doors at night and holding their breath every time they stepped outside. A massive Brahma bull, named Diablo, had escaped from a nearby ranch 3 months ago. Diablo wasn't just any bull. Standing nearly 7 feet tall and weighing over 2,800 pounds, he was a beast of pure rage. He had already destroyed barns, injured livestock, and even sent 2 grown men to the hospital. The entire town was living in fear. Families couldn't play outside unsupervised, said. Farmers worked their fields looking over their shoulders, never knowing when Diablo might come charging through. And the worst part? No one knew how to stop him. Every attempt to capture him had failed. Tranquilizer darts, professional wranglers, even specialists brought in from the city had been unable to subdue the enraged bull. At a tense community meeting, Sheriff Dan Rivers stood in front of a packed room, his voice steady but filled with concern. This bull, he's not just dangerous. He's possessed by something dark. We've tried everything, but nothing works. He just gets more violent every time someone tries to capture him. The room went silent as families shared stories of close calls with Diablo, their voices trembling with fear. The question hung in the air: how much longer could the town survive under this constant threat? And then, as the murmurs of fear grew louder, little Emma, sitting quietly beside her parents, raised her hand. "Mr. Rivers," she said in her soft, calm voice, surprising everyone in the room. "Why is Diablo so angry? Did something bad happen to him?" The room went silent. Adults exchanged uneasy glances. How could they explain this to a 7-year-old? How could they tell her that sometimes animals were just too dangerous to understand? The tension in the room was palpable, but Emma's question cut through it all. It wasn't just a child's curiosity, it was a truth that none of the adults had considered. Maybe Diablo's rage wasn't born of evil, but of trauma. Maybe his fury was the result of something deep within him, something that no one had ever stopped to understand. "Well, sweetheart," Sarah said gently, placing a hand on Emma's shoulder. "Sometimes animals get sick in their minds, just like people do. Diablo is very dangerous, and we need to stay away from him." But Emma wasn't convinced, said. Her extraordinary sensitivity tied to emotional energy had already begun to pick up on something the others couldn't hear. As the adults spoke about Diablo's fury, Emma felt the pain beneath it. It wasn't just anger, it was a deep, aching loneliness that seemed to echo in her own heart. She understood it better than anyone else, because she felt that same loneliness herself when people treated her differently because of her blindness. "Mom," Emma whispered later that night, as they drove home, "I don't think Diablo is mean. I think he's scared and sad, just like I was when Tommy said blind girls can't have real friends." Sarah's heart sank. She remembered the day Emma had come home, tears in her eyes, after Tommy Peterson had made fun of her. Emma had always been sensitive to the pain of others, but this time, it cut deeper than ever. Emma's ability to empathize was both a gift and a curse. She felt the suffering of others so deeply that it sometimes overwhelmed her. But tonight, she wasn't just feeling her own pain, she was feeling Diablo's. The next morning, as Emma sat down to breakfast, she looked up at her parents, her small face full of determination. "Dad," she asked, "can we help Diablo instead of hurting him?" John Bennett looked at his daughter. He knew her Harther extraordinary compassion for animals, but this was different. Diablo wasn't some frightened pet. He was a raging bull, dangerous to anyone who came near. Emma, he said, his voice gentle but firm. That bull is too dangerous. Even if we wanted to help him, we don't know how. But Emma wasn't so easily deterred. But we helped Mr. Peterson's horse when it was scared of thunderstorms. And we helped Mrs. Chin's dog when it was afraid of strangers. Why can't we help Diablo? John and Sarah exchanged a look. Emma had indeed shown an uncanny ability to calm frightened animals, even the ones no one else could help. But Diablo wasn't just scared, he was a ticking time bomb of fury and fear. Emma, Sarah said softly, some problems are too big for little girls to solve. Diablo needs help from people who understand dangerous animals. But Emma wasn't listening to her parents. She had a plan of her own. That afternoon, while her parents were busy, Emma asked her grandmother, Rose, if they could take a walk around the neighborhood. Grandma Rose, always supportive of Emma's desire for independence, agreed without realizing where they were headed. Emma had been tracking Diablo's movements for days, listening to the distant bellowing of the bull, and she knew exactly where he was. Diablo was in the abandoned Patterson field, just half a mile away. Emma could hear him, the sound of his lonely cries cutting through the wind. Emma, where exactly are we going? Grandma Rose asked as they neared the field. I want to see Diablo, Emma said, using the word see, in the way blind people often do, meaning to experience or understand something, rather than physically seeing it. Before Grandma Rose could object, they heard the thunderous sound of hooves pounding the earth and a low, angry snort. Diablo had appeared at the edge of the field, his massive head lowered, clearly in an aggressive posture. Grandma Rose froze in terror, but Emma, despite the danger, stood perfectly still, listening intently. She could hear something the others couldn't: the rapid, shallow breaths of the bull, the trembling in his massive body, the subtle shift in his stance from aggressive to fearful. He's not angry, Grandma, Emma said calmly. He's scared and hurt and lonely, just like the animals we've helped before. Only he's bigger. Grandma Rose, stunned, tried to pull Emma away, but Emma gently resisted. She wasn't afraid. She could sense the truth behind Diablo's fear and fury. As Emma approached the fence, Diablo's posture shifted. The snorting continued, but now it was less aggressive and more questioning. Emma, with her heightened senses, knew he wasn't angry, he was just lost and alone, much like she sometimes felt when others didn't understand her blindness. Easy, big boy, Emma said softly, just like she did with the neighborhood pets. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to understand why you're so sad. For a moment, everything stood still. Diablo's massive head tilted, as if he were trying to understand this small, blind girl who showed him no fear. He took a hesitant step forward, his breathing calming as he sniffed the air around Emma. Do you miss your home? Emma whispered. Something bad happened, and now everyone's afraid of you, so you can't trust anyone anymore. The bull's body language began to soften. He stepped closer, sniffing the apple slices Emma had brought with her small offerings, a gesture of peace. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Emma smiled. You're not so scary, are you? As the sun began to set, Emma stood by the fence, Diablo resting his head gently against her hand. For the first time in months, he wasn't raging. He was calm. He was listening. I'll come back tomorrow, Emma said quietly, as if making a promise to the bull. You don't have to be alone anymore. The next day, Sheriff Rivers and a team of ranchers arrived at the field, prepared for either a miracle or a disaster. Emma had made her way back, her calm presence already familiar to Diablo. The crowd, nervous and unsure, watched as Emma approached the massive bull once more. This time, there was no aggression. Diablo recognized Emma, his behavior were calm and receptive. For the first time in his life, he allowed someone to come close, to offer him the comfort he had been missing. Emma, Sheriff Rivers whispered, tears in his eyes. I've never seen anything like this. You just performed a miracle. And Emma? She just smiled and whispered, love is stronger than fear. You just need to see with your heart. In the months that followed, Diablo's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Under Emma's gentle care, he became a symbol of healing for Willow Creek. The community, once torn by fear, was now united by Emma's courage and compassion. Word of Emma's success spread far and wide. inspiring animal behaviorists, veterinarians, and people from all walks of life. Her technique, the Emma method, was now being taught to professionals worldwide. Emma had proven that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who see the world with their hearts, not their eyes. So what do you think? Could a child's compassion really heal a creature as terrifying as Diablo? And what does it mean to see past someone's pain to help them heal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Emma's story is just beginning, and who knows? Maybe it will inspire you to see the world a little differently too.